Detroit Lions excitement is at an all-time high. As every single day goes by leading up to September, Detroit Lions hype is at an all-time hype since the 1950s. And in the 1950s, no one could mess with the Detroit Lions. What a time it must have been alive then. But the 313 Sports Podcast is back with another episode, another short episode. OTAs are going on right now, and I like what I'm seeing. I mean, what else am I going to say? Of course, it's OTAs right now. All you're getting is, just a catch here and maybe an interception by Kirby Joseph there. But it's still free agency, and there's three really big names out there, including one guy that just got cut in the NFC North, big name. The first one I want to talk about would be a great fit for the Detroit Lions. Everybody knows him. We've talked about him on previous podcasts. DeAndre Hopkins is still available, and he just recently said that he's willing to play for any team. Some have said that he is a locker room cancer, and I think that is a load of horse apples. I think him coming out and saying this shows that he really is a team player, and I think the Detroit Lions would be a great fit for him. He's 30 years old. He would probably support that captain's patch. Amon-Ra St. Brown would still be our number one receiver, but he could play his true slot role, and we could still use Amon-Ra in many ways. This would really open up for Amon-Ra, especially when Jameson Williams gets back in Week 7. And then when that week comes, our wide receiver room is looking real nice. Our top 5 guys, obviously we got Amon-Ra St. Brown. If you're a Detroit Lions fan, you know what he's about. If you're an NFL fan, you know what DeAndre Hopkins is about. And then you got Jameson Williams, who would be fresh, injury-free. He's looking okay in OTAs. Then you got Khalif Raymond. He's our utility guy. You sprinkle him in there somewhere. He's another speed guy. And then you got Reynolds, an incredible wide receiver 5, who's been playing with Jared Goff since LA days. Amon-Ra, J-Mo, and D-Hop would probably give you the third best wide receiver trio in the NFL. The only other two teams that I put ahead would be the Bengals and the Dolphins. Another name drawing a lot of attention right now is Chase Young, who is still with the Washington Commanders. He was drafted second behind Burrow in that COVID draft, and this dude was an amazing prospect. I believe he was the number one prospect in that draft. He does come from a crappy school, so we do have to question his IQ. Look at Justin Fields, who scored a whole 12% on his cognitive test that all draftees take. Or CJ Stroud. Maybe I should take that cognitive test. But back to Chase Young, there was a report by The Athletic that the Lions would have to give up something like Julian Okwara in a third round for Chase Young. And I know I'm just a simpleton, outside opinion guy, diehard Detroit Lions fan, day one guy. But hell yeah, man. That if you can get that done, then you need to get it done. This guy can stop the run too. And that's our biggest weakness right there is our interior line. So if you can get a guy that can stay out there all 4 downs, all 3 downs, that's what we need. We have a lot of great specialists. I like what all the packages we throw out there. That's great. But Chase Young, he's an upgrade. Do what you can to get him. Yes, he's from Ohio. I understand that, and that's probably his biggest weakness. I'm sure he would get down with this Detroit Lions culture and help us win football games. Another football news, the Minnesota Vikings are going to cut Dalvin Cook. I think the Minnesota Vikings made this decision when the Detroit Lions absolutely clobbered this dude, made him fumble. It kind of looked like he was going to throw a pass, if you guys remember. But the Vikings cut him. We mentioned this in previous pods. I think he could. I think a good suitor for him would be the Chiefs or like the Dolphins, but definitely not Detroit. Curious to see where he's going to go. Alexander Madison going to take a huge bump in fantasy value, just in overall value. I think this is a guy that can stay out on the field for 3 downs. But a small era has ended in Minnesota in the NFC North. Dalvin Cook, 6 seasons with the Vikings, went to 4 Pro Bowls. And that's with getting injured a lot, so he really did have a great 6-year run with them. This also just goes to show you the shelf life of an NFL running back. I have this theory. I've had it for a while, and it's more mainstream now. But NFL talent hardly matters. It does a lot. If you're a guy like Christian McCaffrey or a workhorse like Derrick Henry or just a speedster, one-cut, freak athlete guy like Jahmyr Gibbs. But for the rest of you NFL backs, NFL talent at the running back position hardly matters. They're so replaceable, dime by the dozen. You take a guy like Delvin Cook, 6 years, that's the shelf life, and then it's not like they're done right there, but their time as the premier feature back, that time's gone. You're just a rotational piece now, and a great rotational piece to have, no doubt, but not one that you want to invest a lot of money on if you're some GM for whatever franchise. One more thing I want to hit on with the Minnesota Vikings is that Madden trailer. I don't know if anyone saw the Madden trailer. I'm going to play it right here. They disrespected Kirk Cousins so bad. If they had done this to Jared Goff, I would have rioted. I would have been so pissed. I would have stormed up to the NFL headquarters. But, man, they disrespected him so bad. And since it was Kirk Cousins, Michigan State grad, just absolutely hilarious. Madden 24, by the way, just released their cover athlete. They went with Josh Allen. I guess it's an okay selection. He's an exciting player. The end of his season was pretty subpar. The start to the season was great, but yeah, the end of the season was pretty bad. Jared Goff as a passer last year was superior to Joshy Allen. But cool cover choice. Thought the time to do it was probably last year. I expect to see Sam Laporta on the next cover. Moving on from pro football, the NBA Finals is going on. Last night was Game 3. Nikola Jokic just controlled the whole game, did what he wanted. And his great play also allowed Jamal Murray to do whatever he wanted. Last night was the first time a duo had 30-point triple-doubles in, forget the finals, in NBA history. First time ever, two teammates, 30-point triple-doubles. Truly amazing, but also kind of goes to show you that this Miami Heat team is not a finals team. They are a really good 8-seeded team, and that's what they looked like last night, an 8-seeded team. In order to win Game 2, which they stole, they had to have a record-setting fourth quarter where they just absolutely shot the lights out. Efficient, but it was a record anomaly-type fourth quarter, and that's the only reason they won Game 2. Nuggets are just overall a way better team, and they're supporting cast, Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon. Those dudes are just dogs, And then the Miami Heat role players, you got Strus, Vincent, Caleb Martin. These are just pieces that undrafted. Oh yeah, Duncan Robinson, Michigan. These are just undrafted pieces that you guys found because Pat Riley's an amazing GM and Eric Spoelstra is an amazing developmental coach. But it's the finals now. The charade is over. The Nuggets are going to... Shout out to Bruce Brown. I don't know why the Detroit Pistons got rid of him. This guy was a second rounder, and we saw this man take off. It just looked like a really great player, and we're just like, you know what? We're going to get rid of him. We don't need him. He's just giving you everything you need out of a bench player. Another 15 last night. Nuggets in 6. You can lock it. I know the betting lines are probably steep right now, probably like minus 600. But parlay that with something. This is not betting advice, obviously. But my betting advice to you would be to just, sprinkle that in a parlay because it's a lock. Nuggets in 6. I think Miami gets one more just because they're so streaky. I think Hemi decides to be him for one more game, and then maybe the perfect storm happens where Duncan Robinson shoots like 60% from 3. Strus decides to pitch in. Or I think they get one more. Shout out to Nikola Jokic. He is going to be looked at now as NBA royalty after this. His career after this series is those of the greats. Moving on. I have noticed that the algorithm, or my audience, whatever you want to call it, been noticing that it really likes to spit out NASCAR videos. So I think we're going to start talking more about NASCAR, which is an interesting development because I absolutely love NASCAR and been a NASCAR fan since I was 3. So let's talk NASCAR. NASCAR just finished up in St. Louis. That was a fun track. I think it was their second running there. We had 4 brake rotors go down, so I don't know if this is an equipment issue or what. And I think it's no coincidence that a lot of these drivers are putting in counterfeit parts. All of Hendrick Motorsports, Chase Briscoe, Eric Jones. It's a serious issue, and I know it's a driver thing too. You got an uphill and downhill mile and a quarter track, so there's going to be a lot of braking. But it has to be a NASCAR issue. I mean, you got 4 brake rotors go down. You don't see this. So you got these teams that are wanting to put in these counterfeit parts, and NASCAR, I guess as they should, are slapping them with just absolutely brutal penalties. I mean, you take a guy like Chase Briscoe. If he gets a win, he's in, but then he's just absolutely buried in the NASCAR playoffs. He would have to win in the round of 16. Really enjoyed last week. I think it's the best race from a spectator perspective to watch out of the short tracks. Probably right up there tied with Bristol. This upcoming week we're at Sonoma Raceway in California. And for you casual fans, this is where we turn right. So there's left turns and right turns. I believe 13 turns. And obviously we don't give out betting advice. But if you're looking to sprinkle in some dough, I think you wait for Saturday afternoon after qualifying's done, and then you take guys like Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, Chase Elliott, and out of those that qualified the worst, I'm sure their odds are going to shift a lot because it's not even worth putting in a bet. They're all like, those 3 guys are plus 500, but these are your true road aces. So maybe if they, qualify like 13th after qualifying and their odds drop to like 1,200, then I think you sprinkle some cash there. And then maybe if a guy like Christopher Bell or Ryan Blaney, William Byron, AJ Allmendinger, Ross Chastain, those guys you could, if you want to throw something down now before qualifying just to see, that way you get in before the hype, I think those would be guys to bet now. And if you want to bet the top 3 road dogs, I think you wait until after qualifying because, even if they do get like pole, the odds are going to shift that much. And it's not worth throwing a plus 500 in for a winner. And then lastly, I don't know what sportsbook offer what, but if there's like a stage, like drivers to win a stage, you can almost pretty much throw anyone on there because the way it works here is you're going to have drivers just tank the stage because it'll set them up for the next stage. And this is like the only track you can do it on because 1 lap takes like 1:20. So you're not going to get lapped if you pit with like 5 laps to go before stage 1 or stage 2 ends. So you could have a guy like Michael McDowell finish in the top 3 of a stage just because he got lucky. Just throwing a name out there. Like I said, I don't know what sportsbook offer what, but that's something to think about if you can find a bet like that. My race prediction this week is Chase Elliott finally gets it done. He's pretty much buried in points, so he's got to get it done at some point, and this is his track. And then my white horse long shot odds guy is Christopher Bell. This is a guy that has a lot of experience with these different kind of tracks. After Sonoma, they head to Smashville, and then after that, they head to Chicago Street. Can't wait to see what that's like. It's definitely going to be exciting. I feel like there's going to be some crazy crashes that go down there. But that's it. Hope you enjoyed this podcast and some wheat tanks.